to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
Razaban IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. With me, Johnny Nelson. Johnny, I'm not going to lie, right? But on the top table, it said like John on there. I didn't read the full name. I thought, don't tell me Johnny Nelson's on the undercard.
Nah, number one, nobody calls me John. Number two, no. I'm like you, I've just come to see what's going on. See how it's going on. See how the night's going.
What brings you down?
They just want me to get involved on the night of the fight. Just co-coms with somebody else, and that's it. I'm curious, like everybody is. Floyd Mayweather's in town. Again, it's kind of slipped it under the radar because, you know, it's probably only this week, really, the general public are getting to know that this thing's on. I don't know how ticket is gone. I don't know how it's gone. I saw Aaron do a little thing out on Instagram. I thought, shit, man, you're talking yourself into a good little beating here, but that's his call. So I'm curious, like everybody else is.
Why do you think Floyd does this? Is this money? Is this because he loves fighting? What is it?
Bored. He don't need the money. He don't mean. I think he's bored. I think he's. No matter how old you are, if you're an ex-fighter, you've always got that little bit of an itch. He's realistic, knowing that he can't compete at the level he competed at, but the level he's at still beats most people that are outside our game. And unfortunately, boxing, you can't play boxing. And these young men, you know, they think, I'm going to get in there with Floyd Mayweather. No matter, even if it's an exhibition, you know deep down in the head thinking, I'm going to drop a shot on him. And so it's a big deal to them. So and Floyd's saying, look, if there's an appetite for it, I'll do it. So I've got him.
Do you think if Ricky had an exhibition would do well? We saw Ricky return back a couple of months ago against Barrera.
You see, the problem there is you've got guys, I know against Barrera, those two are friendly and those two are cool on it. And I just think with those guys there, with Ricky and Floyd, I think it'd be very hard to contain themselves. It'd be curious, it'd be interested, but it'd be very hard for these boys to behave and contain themselves. If the idea is there and the appetite's there, I'm quite sure it would happen.
Obviously happened Saturday night at the O2 Arena. Sunday, attention's turned to Saudi Arabia. It looks like it's going to happen this time round. Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. Something you're going to tune in to watch, Johnny?
I'm going to watch it. I actually think Jake Paul's not a bad little fighter. I actually think he's not a bad novice. He's just that a novice. I'd been flipping and flopping. I thought, I'm not going to do the same mistake again and did what I did with Eubank and Smith. I'm going to stick to common sense. Common sense tells me Tommy Fury should do the job. But if he doesn't, then that blows his world right up. You know, if he doesn't do the job, because he's supposed to be one that's got more boxing depth in his blood, in his family, in his lifestyle. So for Jake to beat him, I think Jake's done an amazing job in regards to promoting himself and getting people to flip and flop and think Jake Paul's going to beat him. He's done an amazing job with that. But in reality, Thomas should deal with it.
We've seen, obviously, Jake Paul fight retired MMA fighters. What has he seen in Tommy to call out a boxer?
Well, realistically, so that's what I'm saying. He's probably looked at Tommy and thought, you've got a bit of a name, you've got a bit of a reputation, so maybe people will take me a little more serious when I'm fighting somebody that's a bit more live. I saw recently he was giving Carl Froch a bit of abuse, and Carl phoned me up and said, have you seen this shit this man's saying? And I just said, yo, Jake, you want to leave that alone, because don't take Carl for a fool. My man's too vain to not train, you know. So if he's going to get in there with Carl, think he's a pushover, he thinks he's an Anderson Silva over the top. He's got it wrong. He don't want to play with that. He don't want to play with that fight.
What happens if Tommy loses? What happens to Tommy himself if he loses?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Tommy, his credibility as a fighter is either gone, or you've got to respect Jake Paul. You know, I'm not saying Tommy Fury is an absolute world beater who is bam, bam, bam. What I'm saying is, you know, he should be able to deal with Jake Paul. He's a live opponent. He's got boxing in his blood. He's got the Fury name. He should deal with him. But if he doesn't, his world blows up.
And obviously these Carl Froch and Jake Paul back and forth tweets, and Carl made a video and said, look, deal with Tommy, and then maybe we'll see.
I think Jake Paul knows to stay in his lane. I think, and he's done the job. He's got him talking about him, which goes on to the fight this weekend. He's got the job done. I think in reality, whoever's advising him, regardless of the weight, they'll say, you don't want none of that. You know, you don't want none of that. Because Carl is not very good at playing tiddlywinks. He wants smash, bang, wallop. That's Carl. So there'll be no tipping and tapping on all pals. Like, his ego won't let that happen.
Just turning our attention back to obviously UK boxing, we saw last week the Creed premiere that took place in London. We saw two fighters, both on the same platform as boxer, Richard Riakpo and Lawrence Okoli, clashing slightly and had to be held apart.
You know what? They've actually probably done themselves a favour because at least people are talking about it. I think everybody's trying to be AJ. Everybody's trying to be politically correct, nice, polite, and down the line instead of actually being himself. If you look at AJ's learned that lesson and said, I'm not doing that anymore. He's being himself. And so I think Richard and Lawrence, you know, they've probably, the mask has dropped, but maybe they need that for people to see who they are so they can buy into who they really are. They're both very nice guys, but in boxing, you know, when it comes to zoning in on an opponent, there's no love there. The love is lost until after the fight.
Chris Eubank Jr. has activated his rematch clause against Liam Smith. The WBO have also announced today that Liam Smith's mandatory now for Janabek, who's the WBO title holder. I think Liam will obviously have contractual obligation to Eubank. But are you surprised Eubank has activated it?
I am very surprised. I'm very surprised because I think, what can you change? Unless he's going to say it's a different weight. I don't know if that's in the contract. I don't know what you can change. I think, listen, I was one of them that said, on the Wednesday I switched on, I said, Chris will be too big, it'll be this. Listen, I can get you down to 5 stone, man, you won't be able to tie your shoelaces. And that fight proved that Chris is not the stubborn force he was at a heavier weight. So he needs to behave himself. He needs to think, now, you know what, this is where I'm at. There's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of hype involved, so he's got an opportunity to try and push out there again. If he can do that, good on him. But in reality, what's he going to do? What's going to change? And I don't know what. It'll probably be the same result, but a little longer.
Fury-Usyk looks like it's not going to happen in Saudi Arabia. I spoke to Amir Abdullah, head of boxing for Skills Challenge. He said they're not going to have the fight now in Saudi Arabia. Looks like April 29th, maybe Wembley. But would you be disappointed if Usyk isn't next for Fury?
I'm done with being disappointed about Fury's opponents because they promised us someone in stars, and so until the fight's signed, sealed, and ready to be delivered, that's when you get excited about it. I think it's a great fight. I would lean towards Fury having too much for Usyk, as in size. I think that does it for him. He's an orthodox style, matches Usyk's unorthodox style, but obviously Usyk's a lot more smoother with it. But I'd lean towards Fury for that one. But again, let's get excited about it when the fight's actually signed, sealed, and ready to be delivered.
Just final one. Kell Brook, Ben Shalom has said that Kell wants one more fight. Now we know the addiction to boxing, Johnny, but what he's gone through since his retirement after the victory of Khan, is it just a repeat cycle? He'll go out and fight one more time, but he'll go through the same process again of being depressed because he's not fighting.
Boxing like a drug. And I don't want to see Kell fight again. I want to see Kell try and break this fix, break this addiction of boxing, and find something else to focus on. Because there'll always be one more, just one more. Let it go. You know, get your head out of the boxing space. Get away for a while. Think of something else. Try and do something else. Try and find another passion. I understand Ben shouting that out. I understand Kell loves the idea, but I wouldn't like that to happen.
Okay, Johnny, I think the press is going to start any moment now, so I appreciate giving me a few minutes of your time. Enjoy London, be well, be safe, be good, and yeah, let's speak soon.
God bless you, man.
Johnny Nelson, IFL TV, thank you very much.
It's been like a therapy session.